Hey there, it's Faith Talk Live. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
Hey, if you're watching Facebook Live or YouTube Live, listening to the radio, there is Sopha Rush. She is an author and a speaker. She's got a book coming out in August. It's 100 Days of Living Deeply Rooted. We want to talk to her about that. But first, Dan, reading her bio, listen to this. First of all, I love her kids' names, Harlem and Bronx. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But here it says that Sopha Rush is married to the most amazing man. All right, Sopha. Why? Explain this. How is he the most amazing man?
Just because I love him so much. We pretty much grew up together. We met in college when we were 19.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're 30. So it feels like we've grown up together and just got to experience so much life together. And he's truly my best friend. So I really love him a lot.
Now, is that a picture of him in the background there? The
Yes.
picture holding one of your boys, I guess?
Yes, I have a whole wall full of my family.
And I see he's got a beard, so yes, he is the most amazing man.
Yes, he has a beard. His hair started to go bald a couple of years ago, actually when we had our first son, and so he just shaved it all off, and now all he has is a beard.
Wow. And just as importantly, Rick, I see that she lives in Dallas, Texas.
Uh-oh, here
my
we go.
hometown.
I do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, where in Dallas do you live, Sopha?
I live kind of in Oak Cliff, where the Spice District is. I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's amazing.
Yeah.
I have
been all over Dallas. Yeah, it's my hometown. Mom still lives there in Richardson, so yeah.
I used to live in Farmers Branch.
Yeah, okay.
There's a college there, Dallas Christian College, which is why we came to Dallas to work there for a couple of years. So.
Yeah, you're in God's country, although it's quite warm there right now. I don't know that now is the time to be there.
We have to have at least 2 Texans on a week, Sopha, or Dan gets a little down, and you guys talking about Dallas and all that. It's like blah, blah, blah. So, but it's all good, right? It's anyway, let's talk about 100 Days of Living Deeply Rooted. I noticed it says here that this was ultimately birthed out of one of the darkest seasons of your life. You want to share that, and then we'll segue into more about the book.
Of course. So so funny story. When I was writing this devotional, I literally had nothing to write about. My deadline was like 2 weeks out, and I was just like, God, I really don't have anything to talk about. And I was like, God, can you just download something, please? Anything, just give me something to write in this book. And I kid you not, like the week after, I just had so much happen in my life, from family members going through it really bad, and then from myself I ended up getting really ill, ended up in the hospital, and I ended up getting a blood clot in my lung, and it was really scary. Yeah, I ended up getting COVID, and it was really scary for me. And so when I tell you I had so much to write about after I was going through that experience, and I was in the hospital for a few days, and just like really just having time to like reflect on my life. And at the same time, I had a family member just really going through just a lot of mental things. And this person's really dear to me. And so it affected me. And thinking about it now, I just felt like I was going through, some depression. I didn't really call it that, but at the time I was really suffering from depression, watching someone so dear to me struggle with their own mental health. And so that's why I said this book was birthed out of like a very dark season for me, because I didn't really understand why all this was happening all at once. But it really grew me so much. And so I had a lot to say, and I just laugh because I'm like, God is really funny. More than enough to write about, because I was like, wow, God, like I don't ever want to go through this again, God, like the fire that he had me to go through to write this. But I was very thankful, because all of the things that I wrote about was something that I was experiencing. And so
to go with the title, 100 Days of Living Deeply Rooted. So what does that look like? What does it mean to live deeply rooted?
For me or for anybody, it's just staying truly connected to God, and staying rooted into his word, especially like when life is happening and things are going crazy in life. There's a lot of turmoil, or like you just are uncertain about what's going to happen next in life. It's just staying planted and staying rooted and staying connected to God. And so that's why I wrote Living Deeply Rooted, or started the brand Living Deeply Rooted, because it's literally a brand of mine, Live Deeply Rooted, that I birthed out of. I was in college, and I didn't really have any mentors. I didn't really have anybody guiding me through college. And so I wanted a platform to help other women and men, anybody really who would listen, a place that they could feel connected to somebody, but also feel relatable, like that, like the road that we're on and the journey that we're on, that God has us on, isn't meant to be walked alone. And so when I created the website, or created Live Deeply Rooted, I was like, I want other women and men to be able to have a space to feel like they are not alone. And so that's how Live Deeply Rooted was birthed. And that's why I wrote this devotional as well. It's like, yes, you may be going through some things in life. There may be some situations you cannot control, some things where you're like, God, I need to be able to trust you. And so this book is specifically for those people who really just want to grow closer to God, but also know that, like, I'm not alone on this journey, and that God is really guiding me through every step of the way.
Sopha Rush talking about 100 Days of Living Deeply Rooted. It's a devotional that's coming out August the 16th. We'll tell you where you can get that in just a few. Why 100 days? Why not 90 or 60?
99.
Because, in the beginning you were saying you were kind of like in a block, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you go through all that. I mean, and did 100 days just come at you like that, and that's where you stopped?
Yeah, well, Dayspring, my publishing company, they have a series of 100 days of whatever the title is. So that's why I stopped at 100 days. But trust me, I had plenty to go 365 days and more. And so, yeah, that's the 100 days is what they gave me to write.
Now, Sopa, going back to the time when you were dealing with COVID and the being sick, and you were in the hospital too, is that right?
I was.
And talk about what I mean. Obviously, you had said, "God, I don't know what to write about. Give me something to write about." So he did. But what did he teach you during that time? What did you learn during that time? Because that's a hard thing to go through.
I learned a lot about my priorities. I was very career driven, and I was putting my husband on the back burner because I was like, oh, he's always going to be there, And so I felt like my priorities weren't in order, with my family, my relationship with the Lord, my husband. It was just kind of like career first. And so because I had no choice but to slow down and to really reflect on my life, I'm like, no, that's not how it goes. My relationship with the Lord, my family comes first before anything else, because a job will always be there, career will always be there, but my relationship with the Lord, my family, like, life is really short. And so that's literally what COVID taught me, was like, life is really short. And I don't know when my last day is, because I've never been that scared before in my life. Whenever, I couldn't breathe and they found that blood clot. And so being in the hospital, then that's really what God was teaching me, was like, you need to slow down. Like, life is not meant to be a fast paced kind of like race. It's meant to be lived slow, and to be really just intentional with living every day as it's your last day. And I wasn't doing that. I was always like, I never have enough time. I never can do this. I always have this. I have so much work to do. That's literally how my brain was functioning. And COVID really slowed me down. And it was like, okay, you need to slow down, reevaluate your life, and then work where God, family is in the middle, and your work comes around that, and it doesn't change. And so that's what I learned in the middle of that season.
Hard lesson.
Yes, it really was.
100 Days of Living Deeply Rooted. Sopha Rush with us. You can pick up the book. We'll tell you where in just a few. I know you've got 100 days here, and they're all important days that you've entered in this devotional. Do you have 1 or 2 days that once you go back, and you've probably gone over them once it's been printed and looked at it and thought about it, is there 1 day or 2 days or 3 days that really, today as you read it, it stands out to you and it really moves you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the specific day the date that I wrote in the journal, but there was a specific insert where I was talking a lot about just trusting God and not allowing fear to be rooted and cause me to doubt God, because fear has a way of doing that. Fear can really keep you from you're reaching your dreams or walking solely in your calling, because it's like you get paralyzed. And I really like when those moments where I feel fear creeping in, I really have to kill those thoughts, and I really have to ask God to remove those seeds that I have had planted in me. And so that was one day that really stood out to me, because that literally the whole book is kind of centered around that, like not walking in fear, and like really allowing God to renew your thoughts and renew your minds, and not to allow those seeds to take hold of you, because it can be crippling and it can be paralyzing if you allow those things to take hold. And just learning just to trust God more.
Love that. Sopha Rush, 100 Days of Living Deeply Rooted. Book comes out August 16th. You can go to dayspring.com, probably amazon.com too. I would imagine that you could pick up that book as well as other places. You're such a blessing. What a great guest, Sopha. We'd love to have you back.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. It was such an honor. You guys are so funny.
Thank you. And interesting, because you said God is so funny twice because of what you experienced. Do you think that God thinks he's funny?
I go back and forth, but yeah, I really feel like I think so. I really feel like God has he has a good sense of humor.
Yes, he does.
I think he really does. Yeah. Sopha Rush, check out the book, 100 Days of Living Deeply Rooted. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
This is Faith Talk.